guys, this is just a little clip from an interview between Derek Gilbert and Gary Wayne, author of the Genesis 6 Conspiracy. So, real short here. Check it out.
Hmm.
And so everything that they're doing today in terms of world government and getting ready for it, even though it won't happen until the restrainer is removed, they would bring it on sooner than later. The only thing that's preventing them is the restrainer, in my opinion. And so they also believe that the Antichrist will come from the bloodlines of these Nephilim, who again usurp the kingships after the flood.
So their goal then is to bring back the domination over the world of these the Watchers who reigned before the flood, and bring them back to the throne of the world.
And that's why Thessalonians, when it gives us a time frame of the end time and the rapture, talks about a rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same rebellion that happened at Babel. It's the same rebellion that happened before the flood, right? So they're going to try and convince the people of the earth through multiple deceptions to rebel against the God of the universe and to fight for their freedom, just as you do in Star Wars. So, as an analogy, because it's got that good versus evil dualism mysticism.
Right.
And in that inside out allegory, it's the empire that they would classify as the organization of the God of the Bible.
So people who are rising up as part of this rebellion think that they're trying to overthrow this despot when in fact they're fighting on the side of the Antichrist.
Yes, they believe that they are the children of light. That's why Freemasons call themselves the sons of light. And light is a core allegory in their belief system, just as Satan masquerades or disguises himself as an angel of light. And that the God of the Bible is evil, and the religion of Christianity and Judaism is also evil.
Okay, so I just came across this earlier today and just wanted to share this because it's interesting because it actually served to help me kind of focus my thoughts on the project I've been working on in terms of this whole documentary, full length or series or however it's going to turn out. And to be honest, I've been kind of in a bit of a rut with the writing side of it for a couple of weeks, and I don't know, I guess I've just been feeling like the pace of it I just wasn't feeling it, and just been kind of wrestling with exactly how to approach the topic and how to really come about it in terms of I was originally kind of taking a more chronological approach, just starting with creation and going through the antediluvian period and the flood and after that. And so I think it was okay, but I just kind of felt like it was too slow or something. And so I've just been kind of going, I kind of took a break from the writing, and I've been wondering, if there's a different way it could come about it. And so I was listening to this today, and they're talking about the Nephilim and the whole, what's the connection between the secret societies and the, the occult agenda of the New World Order, and how that connects to the Fallen Watchers and all that stuff. And I'm sure most of you are all familiar with Gary Wayne. And so he gets to this little point where he's talking about the last days, the apocalyptic agenda of the New World Order and how they want to bring that about, and how it's ultimately about convincing the world to join the Antichrist in rebellion against God and to fight against God, which I know a lot of people understand this or agree with that sort of assessment. And he actually uses the illustration of the whole Star Wars idea. And it just struck me how, obviously it made me think of this video I made a long time ago, one of my early Flat Earth videos, again, called Flat Earth, The Choice Awakens, and just kind of talking about that whole false dualism that he describes there, and how that is the false spiritual message of the New World Order, right? That is the Luciferian lie, or a big part of it is that, this secret occult knowledge. It can be used for good or for bad, and so the powers that be have taken this esoteric occult knowledge and they're using it to oppress humanity and so forth. And so what we need to do is rebel against this false oppressive paradigm, which is essentially the God of the Bible. And so Christianity is demonized as sort of like somehow being the same thing as these satanic powers that are doing all these, that are oppressing humanity. And so God it's the whole demiurge concept. And, that's basically what he describes there too. So this is the same thing that I've been, struggling with trying to explain to people, since I started, even making videos really. And and so I guess this just makes me realize that this is probably just the best way to come about this, rather than thinking that I need to go and sort of start at the beginning. And because at this point, I feel like for anyone who's even going to get the point of what I would want to put together, they're already going to know, they're already going to have some sort of working knowledge of the Nephilim, or have heard about it. And and rather than trying to just lay all this groundwork and just make it kind of, I think I was just trying to take on too much with the whole project. And so instead, to just kind of assume that the viewer is familiar with, at least, okay, most people by now are familiar with the Book of Enoch, or anyone that's going to probably watch this, I think, already understand, kind of have a general idea of Enoch and the Watchers and the Nephilim and all that, whether you agree with it or not. But also too, the whole, I was just looking today, and Chris White's Ancient Aliens Debunked has like 6 million views just on his channel alone. And it's just amazing to me, because you hear, it's like all the pieces are there, they're like 9/10 of the way there in terms of understanding all this occult agenda and the Fallen Watchers. But it's just like, so why is the cosmology piece we can rediscover the Book of Enoch, we can rediscover this idea that the sons of God were really the fallen angels, and just like it says, instead of trying to come up with some contrived argument about it being the sons of Seth and all this, we've seen that awakening happening in the last 10 plus years, however many. And then sort of part 2 of that is this cosmology piece, this flat earth awakening, that kind of, to me, it's the other side, it's the other half of the revelation, this last day's revelation, in terms of it's all one thing, it's all one revelation. And for whatever reason, it's kind of been parsed out into kind of releases. And there's always going to be the Gnostic, Luciferian spin, just like there is with the Nephilim, and you have like Ancient Aliens. But man, every time I hear something like this, it just brings me back to this like conviction of like, man, you guys, it's like you're so close. How do you not see that? If you understand that Ancient Aliens is just a yarn being spun to try and put this sci-fi twist on all these gods, on the Fallen Watchers. All of these researchers are able to look at that and see that's exactly what's going on. So why is it so difficult to see that in order to put that sci-fi twist, you had to create this whole sci-fi narrative in the first place? Otherwise, it wouldn't even be there to pull from. You wouldn't have the whole evolutionary paradigm to present these quote-unquote gods as aliens, rather than gods from the sky. And that's the whole purpose of it. It's so simple, and yet it's like, we can talk even when it's amazing to me, even when you look at the backdrop of this interview here with Derek Gilbert, he's got a Stargate like circle. He's got the Tower of Babel, and in one corner he's got a little portal in the sky with like lights coming down. Like all of this imagery, which is all interdimensional. It's all about this spiritual realm. And if it's like you can just get people to understand that it's like it doesn't mean that all of this research and all these books that have been written and all these documentaries, like they're all just have to be thrown away because of enclosed cosmology. It's the complete opposite. It just brings it all to light in a way that if you just step back and look at it, trying to reconcile all this understanding of the fallen watchers and everything they did before the flood and everything they've been trying to recreate since then, it is just all about merging the spiritual realm with the physical realm and bringing their dominion back to the physical world like they had for a short spell. And that's what the whole mythology, the whole narrative of outer space and all that is for, so that you have a placeholder for occult concepts, to be spread to the masses without them even realizing that's what's happening. And so all these Gnostic ideas have just been repackaged and rebranded and resold to the world when, for the most part, it thinks it's half of it's science and half of it's science fiction. But it's all science fiction. And, I'm just kind of going off on a rant here, but, basically, I guess what that means is that it's just sort of it'll probably just end up being this project I'm talking about. Just a compendium of all the videos that I've been making over the last year and a half, and but try and put it together in a way that's cohesive and I guess at this point more topical and more specifically for the viewer who is familiar. Because it's amazing to me how much more broadly accepted things like the Nephilim and all that is than 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And so I think, and obviously so many people who embrace the flat earth, stuff, if you're coming from a biblical perspective, a lot of people just see it instantly and they understand, the Enoch connections and the whole alien deception connection, and it's just patently obvious, right? But for a lot of people, it's just not. And I know that a lot of them are probably just going to be stubborn and dig in their heels because they've just decided to come out and mock it at the beginning, and now they've got to double down because they don't want to look like they're contradicting themselves or going back on whatever. But I do think that there are still people that if they can just see like how it makes everything that has come out thus far, it just crystallizes all of this research and all this information together, that it's always been about the spiritual realm, and that when and rather than just kind of pushing the question of like how does the quote the physical realm, when you believe in outer space, how that eventually all somehow overlaps with the spiritual realm, which typical research, we just kind of ignore that fact. But or we just kind of push it way out, so we don't. All enclosed cosmology is just it's really the same ultimate net takeaway. It's just being brought back down to where it's so much closer to your proximity as an individual. It's not just this extremely hypothetical thing that you just don't even bother to think about. It's like every time you go outside and you look up at the sky, you think about it. So it doesn't really change the ramifications. It just makes it that much more pressing, and just makes everything more real. It just makes the Bible more real. It makes the times that we're living in more real. And I think that's the point, and that's why it's important. So anyways, just wanted to share that. I'm going to shut up. All right, bye.